Hello and welcome to the Raw Review. I'm Michael Sidgwick, joined by Michael Hamflett to discuss everything that went down on last night's show. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure to subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and YouTube, where we do daily wrestling podcasts. We preview and review Raw, SmackDown, the show formerly known as NXT 2.0. Dynamite, Collision, pay-per-views, premium live events. We have wrestler interviews on occasion, roundtable discussions, question and answer time. And we host, not this week, but most weeks, complete with a bloody good quiz, of course, a roundup of the weekend titled WrestleCulture. Hamflett, but this show sucked days.
Stunk. Raw stunk. Worst Raw of the year, maybe, because there's not really many, bad Raws. We'll disagree some weeks on the quality, whether or not it was good or great. However, this week was neither. And what's worse is that we previewed the show and were critical of it in good faith, I felt, about how, well, Crown Jewel is awkward, but at very least taken care of. Doesn't really feel like it fits in a lot of the stories at the moment, but they sort of forced it through because they have to, because of the paymasters. So they've got to do it. But I thought to myself, well, no, I can raise my expectations now. The bar is way higher. What this looks like on paper will instead reveal a final time, second night of the old giant cack in Hershey Park.
The giant cack center.
2 nights back to back in the giant cack. No, 2 bad nights. I feel sorry for the punters that paid for 2 tickets to 2 shows because, a rare miss on a Monday.
Yeah, I was grappling with this, and I was going to be nice, and I was going to say, are they just aware that these shouty shows, Sean Connery and Malachi Black have joined us today on the podcast? What would that sound like as a double act?
I'm dreading next week's shouty telecast. I know how much. Taped on a Sunday, you kidding me?
Are you sitting me? Yeah. Good humor. Yeah, and I was thinking, are these shows just something they don't want to do? Inherited. I inherited the ability. That's from the Golden Spoon promo. That's when his voice cracks, remember it? They inherited from... that was, of course, the Golden Spoon promo, which was orated by Richard Fleur.
Richard Fleur.
They inherited the, the Saudi shows from Vinnie Mac and Paul Levesque's obviously too cool of a guy. You wouldn't see him this weekend basically being as bad. Yeah. And you're thinking, is it this? And are they just basically, right, okay, it's a fork in the old road. We have to go a bit off-piece, do some... cross-branded Sub-Survivor series. I've just realised what I've done. I'm sorry. It is the work of you know what. But there's stuff, and they're just waiting to enact new things and put into effect new things once this sort of dreaded cycle is over.
Yes, but that shouldn't
justify it. No. But that's the thing. I'm thinking, I'm grappling, but whose side am I on? Because that does not excuse the poor quality of this program because, as we've mentioned before, they often just do 5 matches and there's loads of stuff going on. Loads of stuff involving wrestlers who aren't on these shows, as happens every non-big foul. It's Damien Priest doing.
Yeah.
Boring.
Well, this is unusual for a Raw review because typically now with Dynamite especially, less so with Collision, but with Dynamite, and I think this is not just us, by the way. I think people do this in Twitter threads, let alone when you have long-form conversations. A lot of Dynamite previews and reviews inadvertently turn into a State of AEW address because the state of AEW seems to change quite a lot.
I'm bored of having those conversations, but we can't stop having them.
You don't mean to have them there. We don't have those with WWE because the state generally is good, right? And
hot, popular.
All the words, all mean kind of the same but different, but yes, agree. Just a lot of synonyms for boom. And so there's not really a need for it. But is there? This Raw was telling to me because the one thing I will always say as a fan of all of this is that most weeks there is a minimum of, say, 3-4 things on the show I actually want to see, and then ideally you get a few little surprises or whatever. And it isn't necessarily always the advertised matches, but it's just the stories that are involved. Now, we're going to get to it, obviously, in the review, but the Triple Threat #1 Contenders tag match, and I wasn't exactly hyped for the match, and I don't think it delivered, but something like the New Day story has been one of the highlights the last few weeks. Of course, I'm going to be watching that closely. And there's normally lots of examples like that for me, across Raw and SmackDown, what really struck me here was, and I saw it yesterday and even a little bit today, about, this is just like this no Punk, no Drew run. It's like time to get a few stars back as soon as Crown Jewel's done and dusted. But that flies in the face of what I believe has been WWE's like kind of low-flying success story, is the ability to make the mid-card feel important. That's how a Jey Uso becomes a main eventer. And he did feel like probably the top star on the show. Damien Priest didn't. Telling, I think.
There was
a sense on this show that not a lot of these people mattered. Not a lot of these matches. None of the matches mattered really, but not a lot of the individuals beyond the Bloodline mattered. And I haven't felt like that about WWE in ages. And I don't know why that has happened, because you would think that this current firing on all cylinders WWE would see the obvious absences from the show and the obvious inconvenience of a crown jewel, would look at this Raw and think, let's look at this as an opportunity. The Bronson Reed factor, right? Let's look at his sort of in stasis, going nowhere run as an opportunity to make a star out of nothing, and they did. This Raw should have been one of them and wasn't. I was disappointed on those terms. I was like looking at that preview copy and thinking, right, surprise me and entertain me, and it failed to.
State of WWE address. If they hadn't just penned that episode of SmackDown, I might be inclined to start thinking the drop-off, it will only be temporary. We've discussed this, Rock, Cena, Mania, etc. Is there like a temporary drop-off? Does WWE need WrestleMania season to come? I don't think so. I think the biggest thing in the promotion remains the Bloodline saga. People love it. It's still happening. It's twisting and turning. This is just a pretty rubbish show. Maybe an aberration.
Maybe
2021 Dynamite's had some stinkers, man.
Yeah.
Just don't worry a little heart about it.
Oh, and thank you for that. What I would say, apt and accurate comparison.
I mean, it's not No. I'm still fighting for 2021 AEW. I still like to think it would come back one day.
I'd rather fight for 2021 AEW than that big old belt that is getting carted to each arena by 15 guys.
That's silly.
So stupid. This is it. Like, Judgment Day arrives. Seth Rollins arrives. The big belt arrives. Like, it's travel. It's making more towns than the friggin' Undertaker.
Yeah.
That belt now.
And CM Punk.
Huh?
But I thought he made his towns. Hang on. Is that what it...
He got him. He did that.
Is that not what he said? And when he was bitching about something on Collision, that no one had a clue what he was talking about, and it could have been any number of things which rather exposed the state of the company and his influence over it. I make my towns. What about why didn't he go to the Giant Cack Center, Phil?
CM Punk will be back when his injuries have healed. Maybe as early.
I thought he made his towns, that's all.
Maybe as early as 2 weeks on Monday Night Raw.
I thought he made his towns.
He does. Just Riyadh isn't yet one of them.
Hershey, Pennsylvania.
No, yeah. Apologise to the people at the Giant Cack Centre, Phil. That's what I'd say. Jey Uso's here. He makes towns, and he's a big star. And he comes out and he sort of recaps everything that's happened in the last week with the Bloodline, and he asks Jimmy Uso to come to the ring, who does, because he's the only person.
How many entries has one guy got? Sorry, carry on.
The only person at this point he wants to speak to. Jimmy and Jay take the ring, and he says he's glad that he invited him to Raw because he wanted to thank him for everything that happened on SmackDown.
I thought he hated the part-timers as well.
They need to be together to take down the Bloodline. Because, and he, like, Jimmy's wearing the They're Not the Ones shirt, and he says, because, like, Jay, they're not the ones. And Jay cuts him off and says, no, we're not the ones either. I haven't seen you since WrestleMania when we fought. A lot's happened since then, and we've got a lot of things to work through. And don't get it confused, because I came here and I did all of this by myself. I became Intercontinental Champion by myself. He goes like, what? That a bit weird. Yeah, watch this. And then he goes like, yee, and everybody goes, yee, and it's like, oh, you didn't watch this and it worked. It's like Cody's, whoa! Like, I've done all of this. And I've done it by myself, but nothing of anything I've done on Raw tops being your twin brother. Huge pap. Like, they're Saved by the Bell. Oh, and then they have that moment. Jimmy goes,
the YouTube intro.
Jimmy goes in for the hug, but he puts on.
Hey!
Oh, but if we're doing
I'm eating here.
I'm eating here. If we're going to do it, we're going to do it right this time. We're not going to be people's lackeys. We can be the Usos. There was a really nice line in there, I should say, where he said, like, they're not confusing us anymore. I was like, that's like a long callback to the whole thing when like Roman got Jimmy and Jay mixed up. And that was that like heartbreaking line where it's like, the worst thing people could, like Jay, what's the worst thing people could call me? Jimmy. It's like, oh mate. And he's right. You know who they are now. Identifiable stars. Jimmy says, fair enough, I take what you're saying, but will you come with me to SmackDown to squash the beef with Roman Reigns? Which Jay accepts. Good job, because the match graphic was going to drop later on, which seems like the beef implied might have been squashed in a taped setting. I don't feel great about that. But anyway, the Bloodline interrupt. They're here as well. The Guerrillas of Destiny rush the ring to beat them up. But then the Usos seem to have control, so Solo clicks the finger. I love you, Solo. Jacob hits the ring, dominating again. Jey Uso manages to grab a chair and just launches it at Jacob Fatu's head.
Where's the discourse?
He doesn't really sell it.
I mean, I don't care, but where is it? Where is it?
Absolutely fair. It was a shock. It still is a bit of a shock to see something like that, isn't it? It's like he got him right in the face there. Yeah. Jacob does that sell but not really sell thing where it's like, it's distracted. It's an itch. It's a little fly. It's distracted him for a second, but it's enough anyway for the Usos to sort of dominate the ring. Solo pulls them back, and the Usos have kind of won the night tonight. But they're headed to SmackDown, where who knows what will occur with Roman Reigns.
Well, I mean, you can infer it, given that they've done a social media announcement about a match at Crown Jewel. That's correct, isn't it? It's out there. Yeah. It's not a spoiler no more.
It's man tag. Bad this.
So it's actually out there.
Yeah.
Who knows if they can coexist or something? I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows? I thought all of this was good, if you like it. Because I'm like that, almost like delirious tired. I ate too much before entering the studio.
Same.
Which is better than some podcasters who just eat halfway through.
What is that about?
Anyway.
Come on, guys. What did you have for lunch today?
I had some leftover beef bourguignon that I made. Do you want to talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah. Let's do it.
So we did the prep. I'm doing his cooking tutorials.
This is it. Post 40. This is 40, but it's not like a tired couple. It's me and Sidge in the kitchen.
Indeed. So the idea was to eat this on Monday and Tuesday.
It's food, mate, yeah.
Yeah, the idea was to eat this on Monday and Tuesday, okay? I've got my meal plan set out for this week. Different week in my life, but, normal service will resume. So I made this because I'm going to eat it on Monday and Tuesday. When did I start making it? Saturday?
So you're going to have to repeat that. I could have sworn you said you were making something to eat 3 days later. That makes no sense to me. I like to give it 4 minutes and then the machine goes ding.
Yeah, well, how about 4 days, mate?
What?
So on Saturday...
What are you, Triple H or something?
Yeah.
Slow build.
Oh, aye. So on the Saturday, you get 2 whole bottles of red wine. I absolutely should have gone for the dirt cheapest option.
Right.
I don't have that sophisticated.
There's cooking wine, right? There's wine that you cook with, or no?
Just a bit of both.
All right. Not like cooking chocolate, where you wouldn't like buy a bar of cooking chocolate to eat as a bar of chocolate. Is there wine that you buy mainly a tip in a thing? The
rule is if you're a proper, if you've got really developed taste buds, I'm sure there's an actual word for this.
Isn't it, for like wine guy?
Just like basically, if you've got like really refined taste buds, the rule of thumb is when you're cooking with red wine, even if it's like a bolognese, just a splash, or a bourguignon, which makes up the majority of the dish, the rule is never, ever, ever put in to your food a red wine that you would not drink yourself.
Ah, that makes sense. Yeah.
But I've eaten it. I'm like, get the wine here. It could have been anything. I went like £7 a bottle, and it was 2 bottles. I should have just went like flour.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you put some
2 bottles of wine.
And not every recipe calls for this, but this one did. A lot of it actually.
Eat it like your first bite. Oh, I'm pissed already.
You don't get you drunk. You know this, don't you?
No.
It cooks off the alcohol.
All right.
So you can feed it to your children.
All right. I legitimately wondered that. I was like, is that just food for adults then? I've always wondered that.
It cooks off the alcohol.
In the boozing. Right, there you go.
Well, for that amount of duration anyway, that duration. So you get some nice diced beef. Got to be some fat on there. Otherwise, it'll just dry out on you. You put it in all the red wine on the Saturday with some pepper, some thyme, and some bay leaves. Mm-hmm. And then, for like, ideally the day before, the night before, then you don't get rid of the wine asshole. put it in a colander, but with something underneath, so you reserve the wine because you need to cook with that later. And then the beef is like, it's not dry, but it's not got the excess dripping because that would interfere with the oil. And then you fry off the beef in batches on a high heat because you don't want to steam it because that's you're cooking it. You just want the outside a bit sort of browned and charred. It'll add a depth of flavour to your dish. Then onions and carrots go in. Some flour goes in. That's your thickening agent. That's how you get wine to that stew.
Right.
Some tomato puree, just depth of flavour. Then the beef goes in, a few more herbs, salt, pepper, all the leftover wine, and you slow cook that sucker for about 3 hours. Then you can just go out, do what you want, do some tasks around the house. And then you've got this big, like, the flame. This is why you shouldn't be intimidated. The flame is about like 95% of the work. I love winter
in
for
a slow
that.
cooker, you mean?
You are?
Like in a slow cooker?
No, I just do it in a big pan.
Right, big pan.
I do it in a big pan, so just on the lowest heat imaginable. So just all of that.
Didn't accidentally burn down your house or something.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily feel comfortable, even though it's like a totally irrational fear. It's still a fear.
Yeah.
I tend not to go for this. You know, this nice walk in the winter sun. Your birth bourguignon just simmers on the hob. What if it burns my house down? It's totally irrational. It ain't.
No, I agree.
But, you know what I mean?
Open flame.
And then ipso facto, 3 hours later, you're done ski, and then you can either have it with a nice creamy mash. That's the preferred. But I just like a roast tatey. Any opportunity to have a roast tatey. So that was my.
That's a very nice lunch. I went to the Tesco's cafe.
Yep.
Where I enjoyed a sausage sandwich.
Yep.
And a can of Fancy Dane rhubarb flavoured pop. Don't know what the brand was, but it was like...
Bar.
It wasn't bar, no. I can't remember what it was, but it was like this thing at the end where it's like, you order it on a machine now. It's like, you sure you done ski? You sure you don't want some stuff ski?
Yeah.
And they give you like a last minute, and I'm a sucker for that. So it's like, well, I came for a sausage sandwich, but like, do I want that donut? Or like, you know, but there was a rhubarb flavoured can of pop, and I was like, all right, you got me. So I got
Different colour.
Different
Crazy colour.
Yeah, different colour can. Rhubarb can of pop, please. It was really nice. So I had that. All I got to do then, all I got to do is walk myself back from Big Tesco's to our office. Not far.
But it's about 3-4 minutes.
Yeah, but you're passing the Poundland, aren't you? So in there, I went for one of these. Thought, got to keep the old throat lubed for the afternoon recording. Could have just bought that for £1 ski, got in the queue. Couldn't though, could I? Because walking past there, I was walking back to happiness because I saw a 3 for £1.50 Kinder Bueno 3-pack. And I needed something for the walk, didn't I, Sidge?
Didn't need it though. They didn't need it though, did you?
They're already gone. So like, and a Bueno, for those that don't know, and if not, why not? It's a pack of 2. So you could have a 1.
Kinder Bueno?
Kinder Bueno? What the hell is that hazelnut creme? So you could have 1, maybe put the other in your pocket or at your desk, save it for later. Or you could eat all 6, is what I'm saying. Yeah, sure, Homer Simpson donated those 6 in. Because I looked at it the wrong way. I was like, oh, we're going to record shortly. Best eat all 6. Instead of just having 1, I thought, best eat all 6. So I best get them down and out the way. Because, I mean, this way, Poundland closes at like 6 or something, and I could always nip back across on the way out. I'm not going to do that.
All right, mate.
I'm not going to do that. It's not good for you. But it was good for me, if you know what I mean. But I, too, am a little bit like post-dinner delirious, which is maybe going to help us get through the sludge that was this Raw. Here's something I'm excited about.
I haven't talked about this segment really that much yet.
Oh, yeah, the Usos.
Yeah. I liked it because that line of everyone knows what we look like now, it's a bit of a flex. Is that what the kids say?
The push worked.
Yeah. It's a total flex of this couldn't have gone any better when we initially thought, let's do something with Jey Uso and then we can start to build this bloodline saga. And I don't think it was ever like meticulously plotted out 4 years in advance or whatever. I mean, Cody Rhodes hadn't even entered the promotion when they started, you know? There was no like, oh, we're going to poach him from AEW. Yeah. And there was always like this evolving thing.
It started in the Thunderdome.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, different world.
For Jey Uso, when he loses those 2 matches against Roman, and you think, all right, okay, that was a nice little mini program. not to my taste, the old monologues, but it seemed to really resonate with the WWE fans, and very little was at the time. This Roman thing is working. That was my main takeaway.
Just taking his top off, and it was like, this could be serious business, this actually.
Yeah. Just taking his top off, pop that shirt off. It was really good. And I'm thinking, well, they've done something here, and these morons can't do anything. And then to just think, this, in terms of Jey Uso specifically, and he's allowed this flex, and he's absolutely right to say it, and it's very savvy of them to say it, because it just basically informs everything else. It's like, well, if they can do this with Jey Uso, look what they could do with everybody else. I mean, they chose not to do any of it last night.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? That was really clever. And I also enjoyed Jey Uso, who, throughout a lot of this year has descended into caricature, and throughout a lot of last year, I'm talking about SummerSlam and WrestleMania, he has nightmares. He has absolute nightmares and calls them pro wrestling matches. And you're thinking, right, okay, well, he can't get it done at the main event level, ironically enough. Sucks for him. That's his name. And now he just yeets. He yeets and yeets and yeets. And it's over, but it's a caricature. Now, on the back of the Braun Breaker, I won't say masterpiece, but a monumental triumphant over delivery, like a true Raw classic that I think will stand the test of time. Between that and his acting in this latest chapter of the Bloodline saga, he's gone from caricature to actually like a character with depth who's proven that he can go and he needs to be able to go when he's dialed in. It's been a really good time for Jey Uso, and I liked his performance last night. I think it's a continuation of this great form that he finds himself in, and I like the idea that they're not just suddenly let bygones be bygones.
Yeah.
There's still a little bit of residual tension there, as there should be.
Of course, yeah.
It should be fraught with complicated feelings and the like. I mean, that's how soap opera functions.
Indeed. Them being twin brothers is you kind of, right, you absolutely can find a reason why they would pick each other, even in the face of, like, remember the first time Swerve turned on Sami Zayn? And he picked, that was a good example. It's like, you can tell he doesn't even really want to, but it's
his brother.
It's his twin brother, and you kind of
twin brother
getting in the way of family, and we'll get to that a little bit later on as well. There's an advert here for a video dropping on YouTube, which I can't wait to watch later this week, unless I don't know, like The Rock changes his mind and they change the date or something, where they're basically just going to play all the swearing and loud back talk that was apparently mic'd up in the WrestleMania Night 1 main event.
I saw that.
I kind of can't wait for that, because I found the WrestleMania Night 1 main event in the building really dull.
I was just like, oh, please. I'm cold and I'm bored.
Rock.
When literally the most electrifying man in all of entertainment comes back, I want to be electrified. I'm cold. I'm bored. I'm like, can we get to the kickouts?
I totally agree. And then
it would have worked in the Superdome.
I watched it back on TV, and I didn't think it was much better. Too long, ultimately. The last 2-3 minutes. There's a couple of kickouts in there, amazing. There's a couple of bits with the Cody Roman story that are incredible, but like the match as a whole kind of doesn't hold up now that Cody's finished the story and all that's done and dusted.
It's in the atmosphere.
But I kind of want to watch this.
A self-indulgent, trope-polluted Bloodline match, you say?
And they're doing a supercut, it seems, of all the shouting and hollering and swearing and screaming between like Rock's mom and Cody's mom and Rock and everything like that. I kind of want to give that a look.
Guess what my take was? It was negative. I saw this preview for the Supercut, and all I could recall or think when watching it was, my God, this had no heat, this match.
Yeah.
I mean, it had some heat when like they did the dual pedigree kick out.
Amazing.
It was amazing. Yeah. Absolutely outstanding. There's some good table bumps. It was very heatless.
Yeah. I agree. It was more like a Bloodline main event than it should have been, because these Bloodline main events do get like red hot in the last like 5 minutes. But this one had The Rock in it.
Yeah.
Returning to wrestle. And it had that fantastic build and everything he'd done with Cody, and I didn't really deliver. But I'm curious to see this anyway, because it's all wrestlers.
I watch the entrance when I get downstairs.
That's it, you see.
I don't think I've ever watched that entrance back.
Oh, it's amazing. Looks fantastic on screen. I told you that I was just sat in the seat, panicked that The Rock wasn't going to take those trousers off. I'm like, take the trousers off, do it. Like, because it was like no rules to this era Rock, was it? It was like, he's going to do what he wants. And he's come out wearing this kind of half Elvis-inspired attire, and he might just, and he's got where's that belt come from? He's the champion, apparently. Like, and I thought, are you just going to wear the trousers? And I was earnestly like, I'll leave early. I'll beat the traffic and leave early if Rock's going to wrestle in them trousers.
That was me during All Out 2021. CM Punk.
Oh, Punk in the long boys,
I hate the long boys. He looked like an old man. And I know that was...
Do you like the white bloodstained ones for the Moxley match?
Yes, I'd become accustomed to them. I'd adjusted to the idea that he might just pop those long boys on. But I thought, and I know it was the point. He's meant to be. Oh Christ, he's older, greyer, he's sweating buckets. This is a really cool sports story about can the guy make the comeback? But he just looked like a weird old wrestler.
Yeah, he's not. It's weird that he's. Well, it's not. Weird's not the word. It's interesting that he's not thought to do that in this WWE run, isn't it? It's like he knows who he is here.
No, it's no. It's he knows where he is. He knows where he is.
Absolutely no way I'm putting on these mid-card trousers for Paul Levesque. Yeah. Not a chance in hell.
Not a chance in hell. I'm going to wear the long boys.
Seth just about gotten away with it. Roman has kind of broken all the rules because he was doing half it in a flak jacket at one point.
But it's like it's just he didn't suit it. It's not just the mid-card trousers, because really mid-card trousers is. I don't know if you know this, listeners. It's a lot more interesting than Raw. It depends how old you are. Because there's a generation who won't get this at all.
That's
what we're
true,
about to say. There's a generation who won't get this at all. And you might have learned about it since, or like discovered it for yourself since. But back in the mid to late 90s, there was a rule. If you don't wear trunks, we could do a jingle for this. If you don't wear trunks, you don't go to the main event.
I thought you just had a rhyme lined up. It was funny if
no, there's no rhyme. It's just a voice. So Triple H, a very preeminent example, wears the long boys, I get trunks, tights. Gets the tights in 1998.
He fancies himself as a Shawn and a Brett, and he was neither.
He was neither of them, and then he goes, right, okay, I can do. I can get a massive hulking physique, and I can get the Steve Austin trunks and the Rock trunks, and if you want to be that megastar tier, you have to wear trunks. So
Hogan,
he wore the
Hogan, Warrior, Piper, Paul Orndorff, everyone that had come in that like top tier in WWE pretty much.
Yeah,
boots and trunks guys,
and like. Hogan through vanity changed it, but he was Hogan. I think he's like the exception to every rule. And you thought, all right, okay. And then there's this association in your head, rightly or wrongly, of right, if you wear the long ones, the tights, you are a mid-carder. Chris Jericho, I'm sorry, buddy, you're a mid-carder, mate.
Yeah. Switches it up, has a closest in WWE run to being the top guy that he ever had.
He's probably the best in the world in 2008 and 2009. Probably the best in the world. Which isn't saying much. It was more the era. I mean, he was great. And
Rick Rude was a beautiful specimen, and Vince McMahon saw him as a soft mid-carder.
Like there's a lot of evidence you could wade through to suggest that there is this subliminal almost effect on wrestling fans about trunks, main event, tights, upper mid card.
Jarrett thought he was getting the main event run, so he switched to the more familiar Jeff Jarrett shorts.
Yeah, but wrong shorts. You need that curvature.
You
need to accentuate your ass.
Yeah.
That nicely.
But you're right. It has
that nicely aerobicized ass.
Kenny Omega went the other way. Went from trunks to tights.
There's been a shift now. There's been a shift. Who's the biggest star in pro wrestling right now, other than
Cody
CM
Rhodes.
Punk? Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
Tights.
John Cena, just broke every rule.
Yeah.
So
it no longer really exists, but that was a phenomenon once upon a time.
And you imagine it'd be one of them things that like Punk would boot off about. Seems like one of them things he'd hold there for no good reason.
Yeah.
You're going to be in the mid-card forever in those. Anyway, see you later. I'm off to the ring. Why
are you wearing them? I think ultimately it's about physique, and I don't think it ever suited him. I don't think it ever suited him, and it's weird. Like, I don't think he does that if he never goes to AEW and just returns to WWE. I think he might have just had this sort of like, it's AEW, it's a little bit Wild West. I take it seriously, and it's cool that, all of this was built on for me.
You can picture people in Gorilla like stopping and going like, right before he goes to the ring, and it's like a knacker on everyone's confidence. They lose a bit of faith in him. He sees them doing that and goes, what? Yeah. And everyone's head's gone all of a sudden.
I think he just took an experimental approach and did what he wanted to a degree in AEW, for better and for worse.
I would say that's fair. We go to Adam Pearce in the back. He's absolutely raging, Sidge. He's on the phone to somebody. He keeps saying Nick, but I don't know who he's referring to. Whoever this guy is, he's raging that the Bloodline are there because, again, I wish I could understand who he was speaking to. Postman Pearce says he agreed to Jimmy Uso being a guest of Jey Uso's, but not the Bloodline arriving from SmackDown. I'm as confused as you. But that phone call gets interrupted, so I'm going to have to call you back, but I'm not best pleased about this.
So I think why you're confused, I'll help you out here. But one of the reasons why Adam Pearce, that's his name, isn't it? Adam Pearce has got a lot on his plate. Yeah. He's got the Bloodline reneging on the agreed upon deal for how many of them should appear and what they should do on the show. Mm-hmm. He has got the threat that's maybe gnawing at the back of his head about someone else's champion beating his world champion. So that's a high stakes match. It's a reflection on the GMs upcoming at Saudi Arabia. And he's also got Bronson Reed, who just will not be told to stop violently attacking his opponents and putting into jeopardy big-time PLE matches. So he's got all of those problems on his plate.
I would say he's got all this and so much more to deal with.
Nick Aldis.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Is that you were clever or you shooting yourself in the head? We just don't know. But anyway, he's got the Judgment Day. And he's, if you recall from last week and yesterday's preview, Dominic Mysterio said, just please, it's been a mystery all week. Just tell me who I'm going to be fighting in this mystery world championship match tonight. He goes, all right,
it's Damien Priest.
What the fuck was this?
Why did he even bother?
What was this?
What was the point in potentially stoking the imagination of fans into thinking, oh, it could be anybody? It could even be Damien Priest. You know what I mean? But like, it's so dumb.
Yeah, really dumb. Finn Balor offers help, says he knows Damien Priest better than anybody, but Dom says, no, I'm going to do it on my own. I'll stay back.
Finn wasn't happy with that.
He
I don't know if you noticed, there's a really subtle detail where he just walked off in full view with a shot.
Yes. There was also I believe it was, I don't think it was on Raw, I think it was in the social media aftermath where, it is, because they're in the Judgment Day clubhouse and Dominic's brought back to the clubhouse and he's like, oh God, I'm really sorry, I get sat down after the attack by Damien at the end of the show. Spoiler, guys. And Finn's like, JD, can I have a word? And like, you're Dom on the sofa and I'm Finn and JD just having this conversation. Can I just have a quiet word? Front of cameras in the clubhouse, as close as we are now. That wasn't the plan. Just back to that again. More on that in a bit.
Yeah.
Right, let's breeze through this because it was Sheamus versus Ludwig Kaiser and it was a massive disappointment. They just hit each other really hard. Great. I've seen it a gazillion times in every wrestling match I've ever seen in freaking life. There's one quite nice spot on the floor.
It's the next entrance.
When we were snoozing over the desks about this morning, I was highlighting that one spot where like Sheamus is
one good bit.
Yeah, power like Kaiser up into something on the announce table and Kaiser just like snaps backwards and wrenches this like guillotine choke on the floor. It's this really cool moment, like desperation because he's sort of like on top of him and you suddenly see like the size disparity between the two.
Oh no, I'm going to get put through a table, which everyone else does and just is back in...
Doesn't think to just grab on for dear life.
Tip-top condition for the next show.
This is true. We're back in the ring and they're after a commercial break and Sheamus, it's so hard. He eventually gets powerbombed down by Kaiser, only for Kaiser to sort of get back into it. He starts hitting back really hard from him, and ultimately Sheamus just creates a bit of breathing space between the two. I guess it's supposed to be real feeling, and I sound like a dickhead, I don't know. But like, he just creates enough space to drill him with a brogue kick and get the win. Sheamus wins clean. This is sort of the end of a feud that was delayed by the Ludwig Kaiser injury, and maybe it for I don't know. Is Kaiser going to end up back on SmackDown because he's working with Gunther for like Imperium?
The correct trade considerations are put in place, of course.
But then I suppose no Gunther will be back on Raw after this. So no, that's stupid. He'll just be on Raw.
You are stupid.
Weird booking. Bad match, weird booking.
They seem to really like... I don't think it's weird booking necessarily. They are teeing up the Sheamus Braun Breaker program. They had a match yet or not?
Oh, I don't know, maybe.
Well, if they did, it was evidently very forgettable. Because Wade Barrett mentioned on commentary after the win... Sheamus could be putting himself into the consideration for the title picture.
And they have been on that one for years.
They've been on it. They even mentioned again last night about the Intercontinental title as the one that he wants to complete his collection.
Beaten by disqualification in June.
What's the minutes on that, the minute ski?
12 minutes. DQ. I can't remember what that finish was. Breaker was on a bit of a run at the time.
I thought all of it was goated apart from this week. Raw.
Yeah,
Never mind.
So much of it. It's like...
Never mind. So that's where they're going. Kaiser, he's a good guy he can beat.
Yeah.
I mean, those vignettes showed a bit of potential as a bit of a cartoonish mid-card heel, but that seemed to have a ceiling before it even really properly begun.
Do you know what this was to me?
Formless and a bit mediocre and forgettable.
2021 NXT, and I include the virtually silent crowd.
Yeah, the crowd.
Hitting each other hard to a crowd that weren't that bothered about it. It just didn't work for the audience, I don't think.
No, I don't know if I enjoyed the realistic touch, perhaps, of the finish of, I know it's wrestling, it's combat. Mm-hmm. You make literally one mistake, one positioning error, and you're completely screwed. Or if it just felt like... I can almost hear them say, "Wrap it up. It's 2 hours, guys."
Yeah.
What is it? What is it? 3 hours? No. You did you not get the memo?
We got two things on that memo. Raw's 2 hours and don't make Triple H look vulnerable.
Yes.
It ain't hard to understand.
True. And like, what does he not get the memo? Guys, it's 2 hours long. Go home. Bro kick. Whatever your little move is.
Do your three moves,
do your little move. It was just a bit formless, this.
Yeah, I agree.
No tension, suspense, heat, animosity. There was slugging at it for about 8 minutes, and then
what was it?
The finish?
9 minutes 46. So yeah.
One of those weird long short
well.
matches.
Yes,
one of those
short
weird
match.
long short matches.
One of the worst things you can do in 2024. What do we have next? Video package of Rhea Ripley saying she's sick of Raquel Rodriguez. Felt completely betrayed by her, and anyway, none of that matters because all she wants is the title back, and her and Liv Morgan are going to have to kill her to stop her. Ooh, big scary words.
Just the Rhea Ripley thing.
Yeah.
Because she said, I think I'm paraphrasing, but this is almost a direct quote. I'm glad that you've recapped this because I remember thinking this morning, Rhea Ripley is talking about Raquel Rodriguez.
Yeah.
And Rhea Ripley says, and again, I'm paraphrasing, but it's almost a direct quote. I think it was you who said, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. And that's Don Corleone. Isn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Marlon Brando and The Godfather.
Wrestling just knows wrestling.
Yeah. Hey, God, that's really profound.
That would be the one film quote. If he was here, we know he's obviously still hurt from Halloween Havoc. It's the one film quote that Stax would actually be able to do the Leo DiCaprio. I know that film.
Yeah.
I think he would actually know that. Get well seen, Stax. Jay and Jimmy are walking backstage together and they bump into Sami Zayn. And Sami Zayn asks for a moment in private with Jay on this globally broadcast television show to millions. So Jimmy departs. They can have the moment in private. Did you see how this was shot as well? Did you see there was a little sign above the two of them that said, brothers? And it was asking you, like, it was like a sponsor for a company or something, Cleveland Brothers, Caterpillar or whatever. But it was clearly framed. They kept cutting it down so all you could see was brothers in big letters in between the heads of Sami and Jay, as if to say,
can you imagine?
These are kind of brothers too.
Can you imagine the moisture on the lips of the production staffer?
Recce in a spot in the building.
You can almost see the glisten of the moisture on the lips, ready to pucker up to Paul Levesque with, oh my God, I've just seen this. Paul, what do you think about this? And he's like, yeah, it works, the brothers. And he's like, oh my God, I'm impressed, Paul. Oh my God, I did an art house movie.
Telling the guys back at the crew hotel there.
Yeah.
Paul said it was the best thing on the show. Yeah, so Sami Zayn gets his private moment with Jay Uso.
That Jimmy Uso could watch.
Presumably, because he just walked 5 paces out of shot.
Either on the monitor that we know exists or the TV program that...
Yeah. Well, we're talking about it, so we saw it too, this private
the characters know because they appeal. They get the fans that they see to say yeet and such.
Indeed. Solo wasn't the one that was...
It's an idiot plot nonsense, this WWE lark.
A little bit. Didn't love it on the show there. So basically, Sami's asking Jay why he's even considering going and sort of breaking bread again with Roman Reigns after everything down the line.
Breaking bread and giving things.
It wasn't Solo Sikoa who was the one that was making him, I guess, subservient and in his head and constantly making him feel bad about himself for years and years and years and years. And that was what was stopping, like your relationship with Roman was what was stopping you becoming all of these things that you now are, that you acknowledge about yourself. But Jay says that Sami Zayn couldn't possibly understand because he's not family use.
Away from the absolutely nonsensical idiot plot framing of all of this sub-soap opera nonsense, right? That's the cynical part of me. The still beating heart underneath the husk did think to myself, what if he calls Sami Zayn family over the next however many months?
Yeah, when he gives him Sami U's title again or something.
Like, how cool is that going to be?
Awesome.
You're my friend, Sami. It's one of those classic Bloodline misunderstandings where they do the bait and switch.
Yeah.
Like the T-shirt of, like, you don't get a T-shirt off. We got you a Bloodline one, which I'm trivializing, but that was absolutely good.
Amazing, yeah.
That was absolutely good. So there's something where Sami thinks, oh, God, I'm back in Jay's graces, and I think we're going to be friends again. But Jay goes, what you going in for the hug for? You're not my friend. You're my friend, Sami. You're my family.
Yeah, that'd be really good. This like
It will be good. I'm just being an arsehole.
I'm taking the piss because we're tired and cynical today, but I will say this. I've fantasy booked a lot of the story and I've like enjoyed most of it. Not all of it, but most of it. I am
What are you, 12?
I am quite impressed. I will not apologise for loving what I do. Look, young me would be over the moon to be fantasy booking.
I fantasy book most things most weeks.
I just assumed it was always going to be Sami Zayn being the one to be like, how lads, let's get it back together. They're much worse. Let's fix this. Sami Zayn is probably the most versatile of the lot in terms of his ability to emote across the spectrum of the things.
Probably
That's doing whatever it is. Yeah, he is. He even did it, if you consider the fact he entered into the Bloodline as a stooge and heel and became the kind of beating heart of it, saved the story in 2022. That's the sort of talent that Sami Zayn has. So it's pretty cool that they've put the pressure on him here to be the last one to sort of make his peace with Roman. And you could see the tension with him and Jimmy, and you're sad for that because it's like, as you pointed out yesterday, you guys were the first ones to sort of form. Jimmy was the first one to be like, he's all right, actually. And now they're as far apart as they've ever been because Jimmy's gone back like, Sami won't simply. And what's so cool about this, and this is where this is backlinked to the good WWE, we can have this Raw as an outlier. One of the things Sami Zayn is currently doing is exactly the same as what Kevin Owens is doing. And when Sami Zayn's heart grows a size and he's like, all right, I will give Roman a chance and everything is fine again, that's only going to make Kevin Owens more enraged, isn't it?
It's a world. Like, it's a world I wish I lived in.
You could get to Zayn and Owens again. WrestleMania, maybe? It could be big, couldn't it? Because people just love that singles match. You can always return to it. And I didn't expect them to do it this way around. I thought Jay would be the last holdout, and instead Sami. I think it's quite a nice touch. I'm quite glad that they've subverted it that way. Gunther. Oh, no, sorry. Where are my manners? There's a brief advert for our friends and listeners and viewers in Houston, Dallas, or Austin, Texas. Get yourself down to One Dead Man Show because he's back making towns.
Making the towns next to him.
4 stories, 3 jokes, 2 Brothers of Destruction, One Dead Man Show. You can have that for free if you want to take. Gunther.
What was this advertised? I thought I was doing a world tour. No. just doing the Chris Jericho and Newcastle upon Tyne loop.
I only go with drive away. And I'm staying in Texas because I don't want to be close to no ocean because the sharks are coming for my woman. Kick ass, shark.
I love the idea of, remember they did that friggin' Lesnar was still in the UFC at the time and he just had to fight. He walks past Undertaker and I don't know if they're shooting their own angle or what, but he goes, you want to do it? Remember that? For whatever reason, it's just stuck permanently in my head. You want to do it? And he's gonna walk on. Undertaker's having a nice romantic walk on the beach with his wife and his beanie hat and his incredibly horrible T-shirt collection.
Long biker chain.
His biker chain, his awful T-shirt. And he's just on the beach and he sees a little basking shark minding its own business, doing absolutely nothing. You want to do it?
I will. We'll do it. Apparently, and can you imagine why?
I love him being in the UFC and existing in that world and thinking he could just beat up one of the fighters. You're a loser. You're a loser, Mark.
I think Dana White was raging. It was like, hang on, did some ancient fossil fake-ass wrestler just call out my world champion? No wonder he was pissed.
Who does he think he is? Undertaker. You want to do it? You'll get annihilated.
Maybe we do a handicap UFC. I got Kane in the octagon. That's what I think about my politics. It's like an octagon. There's 8 sides to every story. Gunther cuts a promo next. He calls Cody a gutless champion again. A little servant for all the fans. And he said, I told you, you shouldn't be dragging people into it. And look, you've done it again. You've dragged Randy Orton into it. Promotes the tag match to SmackDown. Takes the piss out of Randy Orton a little bit for losing in Berlin. Says, if you want to know what it feels like to get your ass kicked by me, just ask your friend Randy. But you'll know at Crown Jewel where I'll make you a secondary champion. So just repeating the beats from SmackDown.
That beats.
Selena Vega versus Ivy Nile next.
Jesus Christ, this is a joke.
Show reeked. Total night of reekers. You've got the LWO and American Made trying to create movement on the floor. To be fair, a couple of fast exchanges early with Zelina Vega and Ivy Nile.
Good meet the aura.
Yeah, Ivy Nile's going for the submission counters early. Vega is able to burst out and then throws it to the floor, hits with a meteor. We go to a break. Crowd don't give a goddamn damn. That's the problem. They never do. And We come back.
What do... Wait a minute. So I'm thinking... tired.
Yeah, you know, it's right next to a chocolate factory, don't you, Sidge? The Hershey Park. The Giant Cake Centre.
Is the chocolate factory?
Yeah. So, Hershey's Kisses.
So what I'm saying is, like, you get the little Hershey's Kisses and you get the foil and you think, oh, hang on. Oh, God, might have an issue. You look at the little foil and you see some little holes and some, like, claw marks and you're thinking, oh, God. Maybe they're like chocolate. I think they'll just eat anything they can, these rodents. And maybe they're at the chocolate factory and they're thinking, oh, maybe some freebies here. Ooh.
Good day to be a rodent.
Good day to be a rodent. Some freebies here. Chocolate factory just for me. Mm-hmm. Great. And you think, right, okay, what if they have hot chocolate? And the bladders get a bit full.
Right.
And there's so there's hot chocolate, and the bladders get full at the chocolate factory. But you think nowadays it's probably, I can't imagine just a chocolate factory, shut doors. No. I'm fairly certain it'll be like an attraction. Let's see how the chocolate is made. Yeah? Come and see how the chocolate is made. Come and see how the kisses are made and the magic is made. While you're here, why don't you have a look at our gift shop? Yeah? Why don't you have a look at our range of merchandise? Why don't you get a t-shirt? If the rat pisses on that carton, you'll be able to hear it during this match on Raw.
I'm pretty sure you would. Are you a fancy hot chocolate guy?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Kids, my wife, love a hot chocolate. I like it enough.
Exactly the same. The kids are blown away by the aesthetics of it and the bonus cream and marshmallows and stuff. My wife just likes a hot chocolate, and I'll be like, well, if everyone's getting involved,
yeah, I'll get one.
I will too.
The issue, however, is that for me, it's just a little bit like, if you get a bad one, it's very thin. I find them very thin.
Do you not like that when it all congeals at the bottom and it's like just
That's because there's not adequate separation. It hasn't been prepared properly. Yeah. They're very thin, these hot chocolates. There is, and I know you think it's a Tory arsehole, but I'm telling you now, he could help you on your crusade to learn how to cook. Jamie Oliver's got a recipe. Yeah, Jamie Oliver did a series. I think he's crossed over to the States.
I think so. I love that guy. He's Puka.
He's Puka. There's Jamie Oliver. Actually, I think he's a bit of a sanctimonious twat. Who is he? Who the hell is this guy to tell me what I can and can't eat?
Hey, honey, you seen this naked chef? No, he's got clothes on.
What? Anyway.
Putting the Big Bang back on. Give me this.
Give me the Big Bang. Get this little Poindexter going to bang this hot rod or what? It's been 3 years already.
It's for 18 seasons. God damn. They're not graduated college yet.
It's too unrealistic. They haven't graduated from college.
They're still freshmen. How's that work? I'm seeing these guys. The guy's 45 years old. He's in homeroom.
I spent too long jacking in recess. Maybe he needs to get his...
jacket in recess.
He got jacket in recess. Maybe he needs to get his head in some books, huh? What was I talking about before that? Oh, chocolate. Yeah, of course. So Jamie Oliver, he's a sanctimonious twat, but he taught me how to cook. He just made it seem very, very, like, easy and something you could actually do. He did a series called Comfort Food, which I was obsessed with. He made, like, these ridiculous... You know when burgers were first getting gourmet and fancy, and they made its way to Britain. So he had, like, the big burger on the cover. He knew what he was doing. And these recipes were like, Jesus Christ, I'm going to be fat bastard if I eat all these. They all look great. And then in that book, there's like the most indulgent hot chocolate recipe ever. And you can actually put it in one of those little jars. Mm-hmm. What they're called to begin with a K.
Oh, I was thinking of a mason jar.
It's similar
for a bit,
similar deal. Kilner jar or whatever. Either way, you can keep it in any jar. And it lasts a long time. And it just, if you put enough milk, not water, milk in it, it's very, very thick, and you can feel it's one of those hot chocolate drinks where you can feel yourself just putting on weight as you eat it, as you drink it rather.
It's as basic as it gets, but around Christmas time, like Costa will do it.
I'm going to do it this year again, actually.
A Malteser or a chocolate orange one, and it's the same thing. Like the flavour is so thick, I'm getting full. It's not that my thirst has been quenched or I've been warmed by this hot drink. I'm just starting to feel full. It's a pudding almost. Great, though. What wasn't great was the moonsault that Zelina Vega hit that Wade Barrett generously
Didn't get all of it.
Didn't quite get all of that. Didn't quite get any of it. Boom. I wonder how he feels about the Costco lads just taking his bit and getting over on Twitter with it. Like, somebody else is going to do a boom on an AEW show and they're going to get a pop for it.
I'm not doing a bit. I've still got no idea what to do.
Yeah, well, you're going to find out. You're not, because you're not going to watch the full game pre-show. Oh, Jesus Christ.
No. I will see that memed. There's going to be something either unexpectedly competent or hideously bad and thus funny. It can't, by definition, be this match that just happens. And I'll see people tweet about it.
He's worked before.
Has he?
Yeah, he was an indie wrestler at one point or another. So like that's why wrestling's happened.
You want to go to WWE first? You should.
Yeah,
as soon
as
he said that out loud, if I'm Tony Khan, I'm like, you know what? No, go away.
Yeah,
I don't need the pub.
It was weird that. There's a big brawl with the stables around the ring, and Zelina Vega is distracted. Ivan L hits that like swinging Uranagi, gets the pin. There'll be a little bit more on that later on in terms of the American-made and LWO, the feud that is bubbling up with these.
Yeah, there was a off-camera Brutus, which I quite enjoyed.
Yeah.
Other than that, this match was just nothing, and it ended.
Yeah, that's that. We're back to the Usos backstage. Jimmy Uso says to Jay that it's absolutely fine. He's not reunited with Sami Zayn because you're right, Sami Zayn isn't family. But again, it's that like they're not quite on the same page yet. Jay's like, whoa, hang on. Like when you weren't in my life, Sami was. And I'm grateful for him. This is not, we're not sort of, there's no heat between us. He just needs to understand that this is like a family business thing. And Jimmy's like, all right, I get you. We go back to the ring. Seth Rollins is here. Where are my manners? Let's find a button for this. Seth Rollins is here, which for anybody that can't remember has music.
Like this? Sorry.
So everybody's singing that, which he's buzzing, obviously. Monday Night Rollins, all that sort of stuff. He's on the hunt for a monster, and Bronson Reed's a monster, but so is he. He's ready to go to war.
No, you're not.
There's a monster that's been with him, and it's been gone for a long time, but he's glad it's back.
Ugh, God, I can't take this bollocks seriously.
He got over, but it was cheesy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So
He's never been a monster in his bloody life.
Bronson Reed has reminded him what he was capable of all along, and he likes it, Sidge. Bronson Reed pops up on the screen at this point, and he says, ahead of the match, they promised Postman Pierce they wouldn't wreck anything in the arena, so they're not going to fight in the arena. But that doesn't include the parking lot. And Seth's like, you don't need to ask me twice. He's sort of marching on. I think he's got this like blue leather. This is a good bit, I thought. He's got this like blue leather shacket, I would say.
Yes.
On. He takes it off to reveal a blue leather shirt in the identical colour.
Yeah.
And I think that's quite a cute bit of when you dress like an idiot. So he's ready to go. He goes immediately out into the fight. They have a pretty great brawl because that's where we're at with Bronson Reed right now. The fight in the parking lot. Bronson Reed finds himself face down in a car, and Seth Rollins does the curb stomp onto the car bonnet. You got Joe Testo being like, hey, turn him into a hood ornament. So Seth Rollins thinks, that's the damage done tonight, I'll walk away. And obviously the camera's been tracking them, so he kind of like finds this camera and he's like, I don't think that's it. Crown Jewel, I'm going to take you, blah, blah, blah. And then in the background, as Seth's got in this promo, you just see Bronson Reed starting to push away all these security guards, just beats them all up, and then like Seth kind of hears the commotion, turns around, the fight is back on. Seth like drills him with a super kick, but Bronson won't go down. Seth goes onto a truck to seemingly mount some sort of running assault, and Bronson Reed from the floor just lobs a bin, gets him square in the head. Joe Testo says he hits him with the trash can, and all the fun sucked out of it. But there's a big pop in the building for it.
He's otherwise very good, Testo.
Testo's having a great night. This just really popped me. It's a trash can in the fourth. Looks like we got trash can on sixth. We're going to now hear from our sponsors.
And there's Rodri with another sideways pass. He retrieves the ball. He's trying to probe this defense, but the low block proving very effective here, Wade.
Looks like that one's going out of bounds. That's right. That's our second trash can of the head of the week. Let's go to a minute mark to see our trash can in slow motion. Great shot. Seth gets on the truck. And again, it's pretty great. Like Bronson Reed does like a running Death Valley driver just into this rubble to leave Seth line. He wins the night.
Yeah, he wins the night.
Match at Crown Jewel.
Yeah. It's fine. It's getting familiar, but it's still cooler than, an in the ring pull apart. It's still like making use of that destructible environment. It's still fun.
Yeah.
It's getting familiar, but it's still a bit fun.
The match isn't a guaranteed banger, is it? And
no.
That's what we're kind of avoiding.
I think maybe these backstage segments are almost too good for Bronson Reed because when the bell rings with no accoutrement,
well, we'll see.
He might be in trouble. I must mention this. I laughed at Adam Pearce. We need medical.
You got the match. What more do you need than the match?
Medic. So I'm not being funny. Wrestling can't help itself but be rubbish. I've talked about this. The medium's inherently flawed. Wrestling can't help itself but be stupid and rubbish. I see some twat go through a table literally all the live long day, every week, and they come back and it's absolutely fine. Unless they have to do an injury write-off, 9 times out of 10, someone bumps through a table and they just get up. Maybe don't do table bumps on a weekly basis in one promotion. Then you can do something like that and call it a heat angle. I'm just like, I'm so rarely convinced that these people are hurt.
Are you suggesting that the table in WWE at the moment, like as Triple H tried the shortcut, guys, too many barricade spots, 50 table spots.
Yeah. It's just one of those, like, a table is more over than half the wrestlers. I understand why they keep going to it, but then you have to suggest that someone medical.
Yeah.
That's just a bit overblown.
It's going to encourage Lieutenant Daniels to scream louder this week as he works up to the Postman Pierce level.
Don't.
We've got a recap of last week, the Miz and Truth situation with the Wyatts and Final Testament. Final Testament saying Miz is now like with them or against them, and Miz, as a result, this week finds R-Truth and begs for Awesome Truth to get back together because he's trapped between the two stables. Truth, because he's dumb, seems to go along with it. They do all their Awesome Truth poses. And he says, oh, wait a minute, I've just got one thing for you. And then he reaches it in his pocket and then wham, smacks Miz. This popped me, this did. Smacks Miz in the face. Miz is selling on the floor. And R-Truth gets his face. Good luck with the Wyatts. You're going to die.
It wasn't bad.
And then as he's leaving, he passes Pete Dunne. He says, what a butt you seen, Pete. Pete.
Stop laughing at him.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
I've got a bit with Miz and Karrion Kross yet.
That's coming later.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
That's great.
That's good humour. Next up, Tag Team Title No. 1 Contenders final. LWO versus War Raiders versus New Day. You kind
Skip.
You know the crack by now. It's like everyone fighting at first. We eventually kind of have the ring cleared with Xavier Woods. I like this bit. A clear vendetta against Rey Mysterio for the stuff that's gone on previously. But from a booking standpoint, when you're trying to get somebody over as a heel, they want to beat up Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
So that's kind of inspired. To the extent where he's knocking Rey about the ring and the fans are booing, and Woods is going like, why? Why are you booing me? Like he's like campaigning with the fans, what's so wrong with what he's doing? Kofi is shouting for a tag and they could set something up, but Xavier Woods like, just keeps attacking him. I'm going to go for dives. So like, not bad heel stuff from Xavier Woods. Kingston eventually does get in, hits a boom drop on a pile of bodies, frees up Xavier Woods, who is still trying to be the quarterback of all of this, to be able to dive onto the bodies on the floor. And it's just really Kofi Kingston that's paved the way for him. But he's thinking, yes, I'm winning this for the team. We come back and it's Rey Mysterio taking control at this point. There's a couple of tag team attacks from Rey and Dragon Lee. The Viking Raiders at this point sort of get into it, where there's a bunch of like stops where the near falls being broken up by power bombs onto the bodies and all that kind of stuff. It all breaks down, and it's certainly not the first rehearsal. And we sort of go into the very obvious finishing stretch where Kofi Kingston, it looks like he's going to be out, and Xavier Woods makes the save, again putting over the point that they're still there for each other, everything's good, and Kofi Kingston's got Dragon Lee set up for the New Day's finisher, and then Xavier Woods literally on the top rope and he'd go the finisher being like, no, Rey Mysterio's I'm going to get him instead. So he just gets down from the position, does like that sort of Big E diving spear through the ropes at Rey, but Rey sees him coming, dodges him, gets himself out of trouble. So he gets back in the ring to take on Kofi Kingston. The New Day have lost their winning position. And then as Rey is about to run the ropes, he gets dragged out pretty much out of nowhere from Chad Gable, who just appears at ringside, still looking for a bit of revenge from the LWO American Made thing earlier on. Puts him in an ankle lock on the floor, which has Rey Mysterio screaming for his life, and frees up the War Raiders to hit their like suplex springboard clothesline deal on Kofi Kingston, who is now left prone, to win the match and become the number 1 contenders for the tag team titles.
For a 3-way with some really cool potential dynamics, like Eric and Dragon Lee going a little bit wild, I was really just bored by this. I don't think it was very good at all. Like, the storyline stuff is the more important stuff, and they did it adequately with Kofi and Xavier, but my God.
It was long, this as well.
Long. Very few people in the building seem to care. If I'm watching something like, I don't know, Just summit in a WWE TV match. 9 times out of 10, I'm not expecting anything that's for me. Got to give us a bit of exhilaration with a match graphic like this. No?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. No, it was a disappointment, this. Again, yeah, the service and the stories are doing that. Doesn't mean you can't be entertained in the process. You've got enough guys out there that can do stuff. And I think the crowd didn't, I was going to say the crowd didn't help. I was trying to reframe that. This just wasn't what this crowd wanted. None of the matches got over in the building.
Yeah.
There was nothing that was popping off.
Oh, God, it was like you hear the rat piss on cotton.
We go backstage. So, yeah, Seth Rollins is getting medical help, and we go to Adam Pearce, who is chuckling away at the Miz's plight, and Pearce is like, well, anyway, looks like it's not me you got to worry about, and he turns around, and who's there but Karrion Kross and Final Testament giving him the big... and Miz says, look, I've got all the advice we could ever need about the Wyatts. Run. And Karrion Kross is having absolutely none of that. He wants Miz to find Bo Dallas and take him out. Kross is in the process of laying out the plan, and Miz is panicking and interrupts him, and Karrion Kross goes, hey! Just shouts him and shut him up. Hey! And says, listen to me. Find Bo. I'm going to break your legs.
I loved it. I love Karrion Kross. He's really funny. He's got great comedic timing. And even though I know the result, even though I know it's going to be a bit of a plodding match, he can convey a sense of, oh, don't mess with Karrion, Miz. He's gonna break your legs.
You've seen the follow-up video on Twitter.
Yeah, it's great.
So if you
tell the listeners and the
haven't
viewers.
seen this, and they might show it on Raw next week, right? Karrion Kross is back. It's a hotel room. It's clearly a hotel room. Karrion Kross is there just doodling away on something. And it's like the camera, he's got the camera set up. He's he's using his camera, the premise is that he's using his camera to have a look at what he's drawing. He could use his eyes, but I guess whatever. So it's set up on like a nightstand in the hotel room, and Scarlett comes over. So obviously it's all after the show, because this is the last we hear of this. It's not like find out what happens to the Miz later. And Scarlett has gotten word that the Wyatts might have got the Miz when he's gone looking for Bo Dallas, which is funny that the Miz is actually, I don't want to break my legs. I'm going to have to go find Bo Dallas, right? So Scarlett and Karrion Kross is not.
He's another one, Trunks guy.
Yes, he went to Trunks, got the belt, yeah. So Scarlett's like, yeah, I got word that the Wyatts might have got Miz. I mean, we did send him after them. We should probably help him, right? And Karrion Kross deadpans it. I mean, he's probably dead.
He's probably dead.
He's probably dead.
And then she says, well, it's been however long. He goes, yeah, he's dead for sure.
Yeah, he's dead. It's been half an hour. He's dead for sure.
Dead for sure.
Karrion Kross is like, oh, it's really late. And Scarlett's, we did send him out. We should probably go. I was like, fine. Like, as if to say, if it just, do you want me to? She's like, I think you'd better. Like, all right, he's dead, but all right, let's go and get him. So we find out next week on Raw if the Miz is dead. And if he's not dead, Karrion Kross is going to break his legs. I quite like this. I
genuinely, like, you know, when you talk about like analysis and like, this is the good story beat and blah, 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 blah. Oh, by the way, the noises of the week for every match were, So just in case you forgot that, or don't know, I typically nowadays, instead of star ratings, I make noises to describe how I actually reacted, the gut feeling, the thing that you do before you translate it into words and thoughts, which is more real than anything else. Mm-hmm. Every match on Raw, I went, so that's the noise for every match. The more like, but you try and phrase things nicely. You try and articulate things. You try and put a point across. Like, sometimes it's just as easy as saying, the thing that gave me the most joy on this particular show, which I should watch for joy realistically, is Karrion Kross. It's absolutely incredible deadpan comedic timing, and the fact that he's like, hey!
It was so funny.
It's like, don't mess with him.
Yeah.
How can he appear like a bad man when in fact I know deep down he's just kind of a bad wrestler? Earnestly, I'm not doing a bit. Like, Karrion Kross is really entertaining. Like, I find him so funny.
He's a funny guy, isn't he? You can tell he's a funny person.
He's a funny bloke, and just, I'll break your legs. it's just so matter of fact.
I love how it lifts it from like the sort of spooky element. I will break your legs, and then like
your legs.
He's probably dead.
Yeah.
These aren't spooky things. It's like death or breaking your legs. It's not like he's been transported to another world. Like he's trapped at the Wyatt compounds. He's in the deepest reaches of your soul. I'll break your legs unless you're dead.
I love Karrion Kross, man.
Funny. But it is the Wyatts, so it was a bit of there's a spooky element to it regardless, which leads us very nicely, Sidge, into the Raw riddle.
God, that Raw riddle gives me the creeps.
Halloween this week, obviously, which is why we came up with a Thanksgiving-related riddle. And I'll reiterate it again.
Yeah, I've forgotten.
Few people, actually, have, in our replies on Twitter, in the comments on YouTube, and in a couple of my DMs have correctly answered this Raw riddle. So
I promise I've not.
That's fine.
Yeah.
There is some pressure on you for this. A rooster is sitting on the roof of a barn facing west. If it laid an egg, would the egg roll to the north or to the south?
To the south, because it's coming out of its ass.
Is that your final answer?
Well, obviously not, because...
I will give you one more guess. I can't reach the no, that's wrong button, but it's...
Have you teed it up? Wilborn's such a pro.
No, dear, that's wrong.
I don't know.
You don't know. So a rooster sitting on the roof of a barn facing west. If it laid an egg...
Wait, that's a roof of a barn?
Yeah.
Let's just say it's got one of those domed roofs, like...
Okay.
So if I'm a rooster sitting on a roof and I'm facing... So that west is where my eyes are, right? I'm so bad with directions. So west. Where would north be?
Up, probably.
What?
Oh, hang on. So west is there. Oh, well, north is going to be...
What a Scott Tailford ass answer that was.
It's going to be there.
Yeah. Oh, what are you on about?
Scott. Yeah, west is there, north is there. North is... you wouldn't... He's not talking to you after yesterday. But
all right, okay. I don't know.
You don't know.
It's obviously not a thing. It's a riddle. It's a thing you don't expect.
A rooster sitting on the roof of a barn facing west. If it laid an egg, would the egg roll to the north or to the south? Neither. It's impossible. Roosters don't lay eggs. Hens do. And that, Sidge, was this week's Raw riddle. I loved it.
It's the main event time.
It is main event time.
Yes. Oh, that's literally the only time anyone in connection with this main event has said that word like that.
Aye, hold on, nothing. So much so. Actually, sorry, no. There's one segment we have to do. It's Damien Priest.
You don't have to.
I want to.
It's not in the. It's not the law. We're not going to go to jail if we don't do it.
It's not the law, but it is the law. LORE. Because Jimmy Uso is leaving the building.
Oh, this is important.
Yeah, and Jay catches up with him, saying, "Oh, have you spoken to Sami?" And Jimmy's like, "Shh, stop! I've seen something." And then the camera that's in on the secret conversation, films through the bars of to the parking lot to find Solo pulled up in the Bloodline mobile, and Sami just entertaining what it is Solo has to say. He's not smiling, he's not grimacing, he's not nothing, but Solo is yapping, and Sami is listless listening.
I've got a dickhead take and an earnest take on this, right? I was just about to say, wrestlers never really gone missing, have they? There's never been like really...
Samoa Joe got captured by some ninjas in TNA.
Yeah.
And just came back and they didn't explain it.
Because I'm thinking, right, like, the only example I can... Wasn't necessarily gone missing, but didn't like Perry Saturn live off the grid for a while?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I remember people were like, oh, we just don't know where he is. He's completely went off grid, and then, he emerged back into, people like who knew where he was, and he got back in touch with people, and he's just, around. Other than that, it's impossible for a wrestler to go missing because there's always another wrestler next to them, ready to guide them home if they went down a straight path. A wrestler is never, ever, ever too far away from a wrestler with whom they're either feuding or mainly feuding with, because they're all just, Tim, it's them. I was backstage, I was ready to do a promo, and you're here.
We have to address this immediately on the next show, don't we? Like, the Usos. Yeah. We saw you with... No, not even the Usos. Sami, I know you saw me with Solo Sikoa because it was broadcast on national television. That needs to be out there straight away. Like, this conversation was
It's good news for wrestlers, though. They can't go missing.
Indeed. It wasn't in secret, even though it might have looked that way. So, but then I guess if Sami's in, he's surely not going to join with the baddies.
He's not. But, they could just do some stupid things. Like, it's a misunderstanding. Yeah. Like, he just pulled up, started talking to me. I wanted nothing to do with it. And then Jimmy can say, I told you he's not family. He can't be trusted or whatever. Mm-hmm. Or they could take it in a different direction. It's a twist I did not expect, which is good. They could take it into a different direction other than delaying gratification of the Sami Usos revival. What am I talking about? Reunion. Which
I saw, like, when he said revival, you froze in Deputy Dax.
God damn, it's
Different time.
different time. That's actually prohibited to you call us by that name. A violation of intellectual property.
Can't use that name across state lines.
Oh, God. We called the mechanics once upon a time.
I literally dressed as an oil slick mechanic to get it over.
Hey, that's what you do for the business. You got to make those sacrifices for those business.
Denim vest was okay for Steve Austin.
Yeah. So they can either just do the whole, we're going to have to delay it a week because in a backstage segment next week, Sami's going to say, oh, no, I didn't really want anything to do with them. But it just sows the seeds of mistrust, whatever. Or Solo could be trying to make a compelling case to Sami of, we're not so different, you and I. We want the same things. I know what the problem is. It's Roman. Look, my methods might feel similar, but you have to fight fire with a guy like this, with a monster like this. It's not really intuitive to you, Sami. I get it, but I'm doing this for the greater good. I'm doing what everyone has wanted this whole time. Maybe turnabout is fair play, and maybe you can join us.
Yeah, it's again because I didn't expect Sami to be in this position.
Yeah,
all of this feels quite new and interesting, and not where I thought they'd go. But it is a taped Raw next week post Crown Jewel, so I don't know if they can follow it up that way or not. Or but they're gonna have to acknowledge it. I think I don't know who's over there for it. If it's just a Crown Jewel, who knows? Who cares? Speaking of which, Damian Priest and Dominic Mysterio have like this bang average main event that I swear had
it's worse than bang average. This is actively piss poor.
I swear it had them pressing the Pando button. You know,
they press it every week, mate.
I don't know. Like, I'm willing to believe most weeks they don't, or at very least, I can see people enjoying a good time. Like, especially for like a lot of these Raw main events. And I just thought this is the first time in a while someone like a Damian Priest.
They press it a lot.
It's getting the hairdryer. Didn't like it. And yeah.
A visual treat for the YouTube fans.
Nothing's happening.
Thanks so much for watching.
Thank you.
If you've made it this far, I love you. I love you all.
You're the devotees. Nothing's happening. And then Liv Morgan interferes.
Put that on a t-shirt, you know.
Nothing's happening.
Devotees.
Oh, I like that. Would you like that?
Well, you know what? Maybe, just maybe not that specific design. But if you've wanted, honest to God, Dudley Boys merchandise, let us just say we might be working on something.
It's not just Shawn Michaels that cooks. Maybe we're in the kitchen right now.
I was in it on a Saturday to eat on Monday and Tuesday. What?
Carlito and Jada McDonough interfere. Not what the plan was. Remember, Finn Balor said, all right. But it sort of doesn't seem to be causing Damian Priest any problem because he's battering them with a chair. But then in the meantime, Dominic is able to steal one, handful of tights, roll up, etc. So Dominic gets the win, and Damian Priest immediately gets his heat back by smashing all of them to bits with a steel chair as Raw goes off the air with a whimper. All of this was bad, right? And I'll get your thoughts on it imminently. But what bothered me specifically about this main event was that Damian Priest, again, a guy that can at least now be trusted to main event a Raw and feel-ish like a headliner.
He's won this year is bombed.
But they can't trust him enough to book a finish where he doesn't immediately get his heat back in that insecure way. Funnily enough, a Triple H would do once upon a time.
No one kicks my ass.
Aye, it's this heat for the booker, not for the heels stuff. It's 2024. You cannot do it anymore. Nobody's going bloody Judgment Day.
Yeah.
If they don't and then he nobody buys the finish any more than they buy when they're leaving the Giant Carcass Centre.
Yeah.
Fan one is not saying to fan two, hey, I was really concerned that Damian's kind of a loser now, but did you see how much ass he kicked after the bell?
Yeah.
He'll get him next week.
Yeah.
Nobody thinks like this anymore. So you just do this because wrestling does this, and everyone looks like
wrestling sucks, man.
Everyone looks like a loser. That's what I felt at this. I didn't feel good about any of this. It showed a complete lack of faith in your supposed slate of next stars. Let's not forget this is like world title credential stuff. Damian Priest, in nothing more than a backstage segment last week, wanted to put himself back on Gunther's level, and Gunther's like, all right, I'm watching. and has lost now, so he can't get a shot. In the meantime, Dominic is obviously going to be this fluke guy. Presumably, he's going to run in and maybe CM Punk. Which is fine, but like
it's a nice way of getting to it.
Yeah, but nonetheless, just back the wrestlers that you've pushed and have Dominic. Yeah, he can cheat. But have him beat Damien and this not be such a shameless, transparent, no, everybody's over. Because what did we learn over 20 years? You do this,
one's over.
Nobody gets over.
Nobody gets over.
Proper throwback garbage, this.
This was like, there's a way to do an entertaining Dominic Mysterio gets his ass handed to him by a hoss match. I'm fairly certain they've even done it with Gunther.
Yeah.
Damien Priest, I'm telling you, man, he's not good. He is not good. The writing's on the wall. He had a blooper in every one of his matches as champion, none of which would remotely trouble Match of the Year chart. He wasn't really the star of that Judgment Day Civil War program. That was Rhea Ripley and Dominic Mysterio and Liv, and he was pretty low on that totem pole, to be honest. It hasn't really worked. He's not that good, and he can't even kick someone's ass whose primary skill in life is to get his ass kicked, Dominic Mysterio, in a way that was halfway entertaining. This was a prolonged heat sequence masquerading as a match, as a main event. And then he got the banana skin. He looked like an asshole, but then he's all right. He kicks assholes' asses, so it's fine. And on top of everything, Damien Priest is a loser. Dominic Mysterio didn't even be a loser correctly. That says it all.
Yeah.
The match was tedious in the extreme. I think looking at that building, maybe it was just not a great crowd or a very rabid set of folk, but it just feels like, who can be arsed with Judgment Day drama? Even the WWE fans were like, it's done this. It's very weak. Last week.
It was.
That was off the Fresh Principle. It's just one of those things that stuck with me forever for some godforsaken reason.
Has this Raw stuck with you for some godforsaken reason? Because it didn't us. But let us know your thoughts on it on Twitter, on X, or wherever you get your podcasts, where you can find us all at WhatCulture WWE. You can also find Michael Sidgwick at...
I'm Sidgwick.
You get me at Michael Hamflett. And until next time, we will see you soon.